Alright guys, so the summer solstice is coming up, and I wanted to do a little bit of a collective reading for the Coven The Silver Cord. This is for people who are in our Facebook group, and for those of you who have been doing the spell kits with us, and those who have been working on personal self-growth with the rest of the group and learning how to create magic and direct it and manifest it. So, this one with the full moon in Sagittarius and the summer solstice coming up, though so close to each other, and it's such a peak of the year because for the lunar cycle, that's its full moon, for the northern hemisphere anyway. That's our full moon for lunar energy. So, it's a major shift that's about to happen, and then right after it happens is going to be a Mercury retrograde, which happens like 3 times a year, guys. Mercury is a fast little bugger. It's the fastest one, and it retrogrades 3 to 4 times a year, depending on how it cycles out. But it's always an opportunity, if you know it's coming, to catch yourself before you repeat a toxic cycle with these retrogrades. That's the point. That's the message. That's the lesson it's teaching you, is you're always going to have hiccups. You're always going to have problems. There's always going to be communication blockages and stuff like that within your life with other people. Because as much as you can control yourself, you cannot control everybody else. And you can't make people do things. So, with all the self work that we've been doing with the group, a lot of us get stuck into the mirroring phase where you're so busy picking apart what everybody else is doing wrong that you're not really focusing on what you're doing wrong, and that's what we've been working on for the last 6 months. So, spend a lot of time focusing on things that you're doing wrong. Guess what you're manifesting at that point? So now that we know what it is that we want, thought pattern cycle that you want to break, to release that negativity that's following you around in your life and keeping you from accomplishing your goals. With the full moon in Sagittarius, think of it in the Archer terms, the universe, the last couple of months, has been pulling you back, and now it's time to release that arrow. Now, once you release the arrow, it's like hitting a golf ball. You don't just stand there. I mean, you can. You're not going to see where it's landing, though. You have to eventually go and follow the ball, follow the arrow, you know, whatever you shot forward. It's time to start taking actual, tangible steps in the direction that you want your life to go. For a lot of us, that has been really hard. It requires letting go of a lot of things because it is hard to move forward when you are dragging shit from your past with you. This could be toxic relationships. This can be stuff if you're trying to move and you're spazzing out because you don't know what you're going to do with all your stuff. You know, sometimes it requires losing some stuff. Sometimes it requires losing some people. And that's a hard thing to accept, and those are major obstacles that we all face. With that being said, and Mercury retrograde coming up, and the summer solstice and all that, here is a reading just to help us navigate those energies. Okay. Be mindful of whose cup you're filling and who is filling your cup. Be wary of people who will keep bringing those vices around you that end up causing you to fall back into these toxic cycles. You know, because she's pouring a cup into a guy who's already passed out drunk's cup and refilling it. So be mindful whether this is actually a vice or whether this is energy that you're sending somebody. Make sure you're mindful that you're not draining your own cup into somebody else's cup that doesn't even need it. Be wary of false messages, false promises. Be wary of what expectations you set on other people. A lot of people have motives that you're not thinking about, and they're worrying about their own stuff. So be mindful of who comes in, on how honest they are. And be mindful, let people's actions, not just their words and what they bring in and what they're offering you, be all that you hear. Actually pay attention to their lives. Is their life going okay? Because if it's not, how do they have the advice for you to fix your stuff? Okay? Ace of Swords. This is all about air energy. This is about thoughts and words and putting those into action. So if you're breaking a thought pattern, you are also breaking your speech patterns at this point. So you need to be mindful of what your thoughts and words are manifesting into your life. If you're constantly talking about negative stuff, it's going to constantly keep bringing that negative stuff around for you to talk about. So you have a lot of energy to manifest right now in your life, but be mindful of what it is you're talking about all the time and what it is you're thinking about all the time. Be mindful of your emotions. Make sure that they're not getting the better of you. They're not causing you to make decisions. Emotions have a funny way, especially for empaths. When you start seeing things from the other person's perspective, you could lose your own perspective of why you were doing what you were doing to begin with. So be sure that you keep your emotions in check, especially when you're dealing with people who know how to trigger your emotions. Mind your words as well. They can be used against you. A lot of these people that when they start triggering your emotions, they trigger your words, then your thoughts and your emotions and your thoughts and your words start becoming, and they will recreate that pattern if you allow that to happen. So with Mercury going into retrograde and everything, be mindful of your mouth and watch your words. Embrace your own power. Nurture the ground that you're standing on. This is all about the maternal energy card, the goddess energy, loving, nurturing, caring for yourself, caring for others. But don't do it to the point that it is detrimental to you. Make sure that as much care as you give everybody else, you also nurture yourself. And just be careful about partying too much. A little bit too much partying can cause a lot of turmoil. It also, when you're in large crowds a lot and when you're partying a lot, sometimes you can have that sketchy friend kind of sneak in and disrupt everybody's energy. So just be mindful of who it is that you're partying with. And be sure that you're not distracting yourself when partying, and that is keeping you on the sidelines and keeping you from following your arrow. All right, so that's just a little summer solstice reading for the Coven The Silver Cord and those who joined us on Facebook and joined doing our kits. All right, I'll talk to you witches later.